Welcome, brethren, to a presentation today where we're going to do a Zechariah 14 World War update. Now, if you are a present truth believer, you better have your seatbelts on because it looks very, very serious. And we're going to show a video from a site that has the inside information, and it really gets into what is happening today, October 5, 2024. And so we are, as present truth believers, well aware that there's consequences with this war, and particularly the church purification of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So let's keep abreast of what's happening, and we're all eyes on the Middle East right now because we know the prophecies and what entails with that. So before we begin, we always request that the Lord be beseeched, and we approach the Lord and ask for his spirit of truth. So John 16:13 says that he gives us a promise that we shall know the truth. And so we ask that you kneel and pray and request the spirit of truth. Let's begin. All right, so in Zechariah 2, verse 1 to 5, we read, "Gather yourselves together, yes, gather together, O nation not desired, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass a shaft, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Seek the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, who have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be that ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger. For Gaza shall be forsaken, Askelon a desolation. They shall drive out Ashdod at noonday, and Ekron shall be rooted up. Woe unto the inhabitants of the seacoast, the nation of Sheerites. The word of the Lord is against you. O Canaan, the land of Philistines, I will even destroy thee, that there shall be no inhabitant." Zechariah 2, 1 to 5. And then, of course, in 2TG number 31, page 6 and 7, we read from that reference, "In that day," in what day? "In the day all nations gather against Jerusalem, that as now is, and brings its fall from Gentile rule. In that day the Lord's feet shall stand upon the Mount of Olives, and the Mount of Olives shall cleave in the midst thereof towards the east and towards the west. There shall be a very great valley, and half the mountain shall remove toward the north, and half it towards the south." Zechariah 14:4. The Lord's post-millennial coming too shall be similar to this. You can see early writings, page 51 and 52. "The servants of the Lord shall flee to the valley of the mountains, where the Lord's feet shall stand, and all the saints with them." That is, the Lord's feet will open the way for the restoration of the kingdom, for the gathering of the people into it. 2TG number 31, page 6 and 7. So these prophecies right here, it appears, brethren, are on the brink of fulfillment. Now, the great fulfillment of Zechariah 14, of course, is in the Lord's own timing. So it may be that this is a prelude. We don't know. But we do know that we have to keep our eyes on this and stay updated. So shortly, we're going to bring you that very important video. Now, why we know that this is so important to keep an eye on this war is because track 14, page 22, tells us so. "While the powers of the earth are engulfed in a gigantic war, the wicked in the church shall be cut off, no more to pass through her." Track 14, page 22. So in this chart, we realize that up here, where the Ezekiel 9 takes place, after the 144,000 have been sealed, and during Ezekiel 9, the final sealing takes place, that the war also is happening right here. So once this war is done, then, as we just read, the saints will flee to the Holy Land and be with the Lord. Now, the Lord's coming, as we know, is invisible at that point. But nevertheless, it will be seen with his believers, with the saints, 144,000, in one way or another fashion. So we're going to understand it and clearly know the situation at that point. Now, again, we'll just do a brief recap of what we've done in many videos before. This will cause the Protestant nations to come together and form what's called the Church Federation. They see that they have misinterpreted, they have falsely prophesied that the unbelieving believers there today will be protected when this war comes. And the Lord will come in there and defeat all the enemies that come against it. Well, no, that's not what's going to happen. Israel will be destroyed. Israel will be demolished. And for the purpose of bringing in and clearing out the land and bringing in the 144,000. Of course, after this church federation comes together and starts getting, all the plans set, that's when the false prophet comes onto the scene and gives them miracles and convinces them that, yes, your church federation is in the right track. Sunday is the day of worship. Let me tell you why and give you all these miracles. And of course, this happens in the USA domain first. And then once this makes headway and starts really influencing the whole world and they see what's happening, then it goes to the world. The woman rides the scarlet-colored beast, and this is indication of the Sunday law going worldwide. So that's just a recap of what to expect. And now let's get to this very, very informative video. All right. It's by a New York prepper. A gentleman has a website there, and he's really staying on top of this Middle East situation. So it's about 20 minutes, and we'll take a look at it now.
What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NY Prepper. It is Friday, October 4th, 2024, and I have an emergency update to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:06 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East and also from Eastern Europe. So the Israeli Security Cabinet has reportedly approved the military plan to respond to the Iranian attack. Okay, so Israel approving the response to the Iranian attack. It could happen as soon as this evening or sometime this weekend. Everything I've heard over the past couple of days is pointing to this response being sometime in the coming days, not weeks, okay? So I do have my 24/7 continuous monitoring live stream up right now. You can go there to exchange information with people in the chat. You can listen to our nuclear forces. I have a radio with a 400-foot antenna in my backyard that's piped into the live stream. So if there's any indications of something going down, you'll probably know if you're in the live stream. And speaking of that, last night at around midnight, starting from midnight Eastern Time to about 2 a.m. Eastern Time, we had over a dozen nuclear attack options broadcasted back to back, which is extremely unusual for that late at night. And this afternoon, we have U.S. nuclear forces on high alert. Here you can see 2 nuclear war command and control planes up in the air, a B-52 nuclear bomber up in the air, and also, very interesting, 2 nuke sniffers up in the air, which is unusual. Normally, you don't see more than 1 of these up in the air, but here you can actually see 2 of them, one over southeastern Wyoming near Cheyenne, and then one in Nebraska. These planes can detect radiation in the atmosphere. Here we have the B-52 over southern Louisiana, one of the nuclear war command and control planes making its way over the Ozarks. And then we have 1 nuclear war command and control plane off the coast of North Carolina. So our nuclear forces are on high alert, guys. This could happen any hour, any day now. It's not going to be long, okay? And when that happens, you can bet that I will do live coverage. And I am very concerned that this could escalate into a major war. Potentially Russia could get involved. Also last night and this week, every night this week, we had a lot of reconnaissance in the Baltic countries and in Poland, which is something that the media has kind of forgotten about is the tensions in Eastern Europe. But the last 2 nights, we've had an RC-135 combat sent plane go to the Baltic Sea off the coast of Kaliningrad. And what makes that concerning is these are high priority reconnaissance planes that feed information directly to the president and the top generals. We only have 2 of these planes in the entire U.S. Air Force. So if one of these is deployed somewhere, it means something very serious is about to happen or is happening, and they need to take a closer look at it and send information directly to the decision makers, which is the president and the Joint Chiefs. Okay, so we had another one off the coast of Kaliningrad and Poland here in the Baltic Sea for the second night in a row. Also, every night this week, we've had this Italian reconnaissance plane looping in the Baltics, in Lithuania in particular. This Italian reconnaissance plane has been looping every single night here near Vilnius, right near the border of Belarus. And another thing that was forgotten about by the media is that about a week ago, Belarus put their military on full combat alert. And also remember, Putin revised the Russian nuclear war doctrine to allow him to strike Ukraine with nukes if Ukraine does deep strikes with Western weapons, okay? And it does appear that Ukraine has already received the green light to do these deep strikes with various Western missiles, including Scalp, Storm Shadow, and even the JSAM missile, which has a 500-mile range. Okay, so all of southwestern Russia, all the way up to even St. Petersburg, is within range. Even all of Moscow and all of the Moscow suburbs are within range of these missiles now. Okay, so this could really pop off over here. It's possible that Belarus may be on the verge of invading Lithuania. Maybe Russia's preparing to invade Lithuania and Poland and try to take the Suwałki Gap. But all of this reconnaissance here is extremely concerning. And here's a close-up shot of that RC-135 combat scent. And it was flying really low here in the Baltic Sea near this Swedish island. I don't know the name of this island, but this is right off of Poland's northwestern coast. It was looping here really, really low, which is unusual. So something must have been there. And last night we had a lot of activity in the eastern Mediterranean. We had a U.S. Navy reconnaissance plane patrolling the coast of Lebanon and Syria. We had several British Eurofighter Typhoons patrolling the border of Turkey and Syria. And then we also had 2 NATO evacuation planes leave Lebanon. So these planes probably carried diplomats or various European citizens. They left Beirut and went to various areas of Germany. Okay, so that is very, very concerning. And The Economist, quoting Israeli officials, is reporting that Netanyahu has been seeking for some time to push Iran to launch an attack that would justify bombing Iran's nuclear sites. So didn't I tell you this a couple of days ago? Right after Israel invaded Lebanon, or right before they were going to invade Lebanon, I told you guys that this could have just been a token invasion to provoke Iran into attacking Israel. And now Israel is justified to respond back and take down all of their nuclear facilities, because that's really what Netanyahu cares about, okay? Yeah, he cares about wiping out Hamas. Yeah, he cares about wiping out Hezbollah and all the proxies. But that's not the main issue for Israel. That's not the existential threat to Israel. The existential threat to Israel, the threat to Israel's survival as a nation, is Iran getting nuclear weapons, and Israel will not allow that to happen. Okay, remember, Israel has their own nuclear weapons, and if necessary, they could annihilate Iran with nuclear weapons. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So it's better that Israel strikes them now and takes out their nuclear facilities now with conventional weapons, rather than in the future, let's say 5 or 10 years from now, Iran gets nuclear weapons, let's say they build like 50 warheads, and then at that point, Israel's going to annihilate their nuclear sites with their nuclear weapons, okay, before Iran can really mass produce those warheads and it becomes a serious threat to Israel. So Netanyahu's not going to let this go, okay? He's not going to allow Iran to get nuclear weapons, regardless of what Biden says or what Europe says or what all these liberals say. He's not going to allow it because it's a threat to Israel's survival, okay? So The Economist basically saying what I said several days ago, quoting Israeli officials, okay? And Israeli Army Radio is reporting that the Israeli Army is preparing to expand the ground operation in southern Lebanon soon, citing senior military sources. And Biden was asked today about the Israel-U.S. response to Iran, and he simply said, that's between me and them. And Iran reiterated today that it will launch a devastating response if Israel attacks. The Iranian Armed Forces Commander-in-Chief Major General Abdul Rahim Musavi said, quote, "We have controlled ourselves and been patient in the past, but we are ready to launch a precise and devastating strike at the appropriate time. If the enemies make a mistake at any level, we will respond more strongly than that level." Okay, so once again, Iran threatening to respond with a devastating strike on Israel. So Israel's going to have to really do a big strike. Okay, they can't do like some minor half-ass strike on Iran like Biden probably wants them to do, because if they do a half-ass strike, Iran is going to respond regardless. Okay, so they have to go big and destroy as much as possible, especially Iran's missile facilities, so they cannot launch these missiles at Israel anymore. Okay, so I expect Israel to take out a lot of these missile facilities, storage facilities, launch facilities. There's so many of them in Iran. We've gone over them in the live streams late at night. I've done deep dives on all of the Iranian missile sites. They have hundreds of bunkers in their mountains. It's going to be hard for Israel to take all of those out, but they can take out a lot of them, and especially the nuclear sites, okay? And the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, gave a rare Friday sermon stating that Iran won't back down and Israel won't last long, and praised the Hamas October 7 massacre. Holding a rifle in his hand at the sermon, he said Israel will never defeat Hamas and Hezbollah, and called the missile attack minimum punishment for Zionist crimes. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a discount on their 1-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you got to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. This is a 1-month freeze-dried food supply. It has a 25-year shelf life. Normal price is $237. They've dropped it down to $177. So that's a savings of $60. And it's all packed within 2 rugged, water-resistant buckets. Free shipping is included. $177 for 1 month of food. Where are you going to find a deal like that? So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get $60 off the My Patriot Supply 1-month emergency food supply. That's $180 for 1 month of food. Free shipping included. The link is in the description below this video. So that is absolutely crazy, guys. The leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, praising the October 7 massacre, holding a rifle in his hand, saying that the missile attack was minimum punishment and that Israel will never defeat Hamas and Hezbollah. Absolutely insane. Okay, so Iran is not backing down. And the semi-official Iranian news agency SNN quoted the IRGC deputy commander Ali Fadavi as saying that if Israel attacks, then Tehran would target Israeli energy and gas installations. If the occupiers make such a mistake, we will target all their energy sources, installations, and all refineries and gas fields. Wow. So we've heard Iran threaten to launch a devastating attack on Israeli infrastructure. That was a couple of days ago. And Putin said today that Syria is our ally and we cannot abandon our friends in times of need. Now, Putin has already ordered the evacuation of diplomats from Lebanon, and also the Russian foreign minister called on all Russian citizens to leave Lebanon immediately. Okay, so very, very concerning, and this comes just 2 days after Israel struck the weapons depot in the Russian airbase in Syria that was being used to supply Hezbollah with weapons. And the Times of Israel is reporting that the U.S. and Israel are discussing joint attacks on southern Iranian oil facilities. And according to reports, the IRGC in Iran are planning to respond to an Israeli attack by attacking oil facilities in Muslim countries, targeting Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait. And the Iraqi militias that are funded and supplied by Iran threaten to target oil facilities as well. And the New York Times is reporting, citing anonymous Iranian sources, that Iran asked Russia for satellite intelligence on Israel ahead of Israel's retaliation strike. Wow. Okay, so Iran wants target information and they want Russia to help them. That's crazy. And Iran has evacuated super tankers from their largest oil terminal amid Israeli attack fears. The National Iranian Tanker Company has evacuated its VLCC super tankers from Karg Island, Iran's largest oil terminal, due to fears of an imminent Israeli strike. Satellite imagery confirms the movement of the tankers. And Iran said they fired 400 ballistic missiles at Israel. Out of those 400, only 180 reached Israel. And the new Hezbollah leader, Hashim Safieddine, reportedly was killed by an Israeli airstrike, according to various sources, including Senator John Fetterman. So the replacement for Nasrallah might have already been killed by Israel. That is crazy. Israel reportedly targeted the presumed successor to Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah in a heavy airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs around midnight Thursday, just under a week after the head of the Iran-backed terror group was killed in an Israeli attack. Both the Axios news site and the New York Times identified Hashim Safieddine as the target of the strike, with the latter outlet citing 3 Israeli officials saying he was attending a meeting with other Hezbollah leaders in an underground bunker. And the Mexican Foreign Ministry urges its citizens to leave Iran and Israel immediately. And the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi on Friday vowed support for Tehran's friends in Lebanon on his first visit to Beirut since fighting between Israel and Hezbollah intensified. Be sure that the Islamic Republic of Iran is and will firmly be standing by the friends in Lebanon, Araghchi told reporters. So the Iranian foreign minister stating that they will stand by Hezbollah and Lebanon. And last night, Israeli aircraft attacked a checkpoint on the Syria-Lebanon border 3 times, resulting in traffic being suspended on the Damascus-Beirut highway, thus cutting off the main highway going from Damascus to Beirut, eliminating a major route for weapons to flow to Hezbollah. The Israeli Defense Forces said Friday that fighter jets struck a 2-mile-long tunnel overnight that crossed between Lebanon and Syria, and which the military said was used by Hezbollah to smuggle Iranian weapons. According to the IDF, the tunnel was operated by Hezbollah's Unit 4400, which is tasked with delivering weapons from Iran and its proxies to Lebanon. The strike destroyed the tunnel where weapons were transported through and stored, as well as buildings, weapons depots, and other infrastructure in the vicinity, the military said. And the United States carried out strikes on several Houthi targets in Yemen last night. Both U.S. aircraft and Navy assets were used to carry out the strikes. The exact number of targets is not yet known, Fox News reported, citing a U.S. defense official. And 6 North Korean officers are among the dead in yesterday's Ukrainian missile strike on the Russian-occupied Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine. More than 20 soldiers were killed as a result of an October 3rd missile strike near Donetsk, including 6 officers from North Korea who came to confer with their Russian counterparts. 3 more North Korean servicemen were wounded. According to reports from Russian social media, prior to the missile strike, the Russians were demonstrating to North Korean representatives the training of personnel for assault actions and defense. Last year, Ukraine's main intelligence directorate reported the arrival of a limited contingent of servicemen from North Korea to the temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine, including units of engineering troops, indicating active cooperation between Russia and North Korea. So this is totally insane, guys. Okay, Ukraine eliminating multiple North Korean military officers in eastern Ukraine. And Ukraine attacked 2 major oil depots in Russia's Voronezh and Perm regions. And here we have some video footage of an American Bradley infantry fighting vehicle that was destroyed in the Kursk region of Russia. Okay, this was filmed by Russian forces. They captured this destroyed Bradley vehicle. It was being operated by the Ukrainians, and this was supposedly in Kursk. Okay, in Russian territory, we have an American Bradley infantry fighting vehicle being used by the Ukrainians. Okay, you see how this is escalating. And North Korea will face the end of its regime if it tries to use nuclear weapons. It will then receive a decisive and overwhelming response from the South Korean-U.S. alliance. This was stated by the South Korean president today. And I want to remind you guys also that we have a geomagnetic storm watch this weekend starting tonight through Sunday night for the northern hemisphere. If you live in the northern part of the United States, even if you live in the southern part of the United States, you might see auroras beginning tonight and through the weekend. We had 2 strong X-class flares this week. We had an X7.1 and then an X9.0, and they were both Earth-facing. So we have a strong geomagnetic storm watch all the way through the 6th. Okay, so that's through Sunday night. So if you want to see some auroras, go outside tonight and look to the north. Make sure you get on some high ground and have a good camera that can take pictures at night. Sometimes you can't actually fully see the auroras with the naked eye, but when you use a night camera, you can see the aurora much better. If you use the night mode on your cell phone camera, you should have like a night mode. You'll be able to see the auroras much better that way. But that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Like I said, I will be monitoring everything, and if something goes down, I will monitor the situation live and cover it live. Check out my 24/7 stream. It's up right now, and I might be back later on tonight with another update. So until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.
Okay, brethren, so that concludes our video for this presentation. As we saw, the underlines of what's going on right now is indeed intense. We see so many things happening. Russia aligning more closer with Iran against this war against Israel. And of course, China's in the background. We don't hear a lot, but I'm sure they're They're doing their preparing as well. And so it is a very, very serious situation, brethren. And we hope that you've been enlightened a little bit more about what's happening, and just prepare, because like I said, prophecy seems to be getting closer and closer to fulfillment. Until next time, may the Lord continue to guide you into all truth. Amen.